Welcome to Appointing the Wise, a podcast where we discuss local politics, government, and philosophy so we can be wise and appoint wise men and women to be our representatives in government.
Going back to this vision idea,
Mhm.
I know, however you want to word that, are there cities that you have looked to or have seen as an example or a model that you would like to uh, mimic in some capacity? One that comes to mind, where the question came from, is doing research to find out more about you.
Mhm.
I found the mayor of Kaysville, her podcast,
Mhm.
and I listened to your episode, and I was like,
Michelle. Yep.
Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I listened to her. She had about a 15-minute blurb. She's up for re-election as well. And I was like, dang, like one of the things that she had said, again, that stood out to me was that she said there are some businesses that are too big for Kaysville
Mhm.
and to retain their community, all
Feel.
that kind of that
Mhm.
feel, right? And so is there any, I guess, are there any that you think of, you're like, oh, we would like to be more like this city, or maybe not more like this city, or any communication with other
That's a fair question. I would say
council.
I am not looking at an entire city as a whole, trying to replicate anything. Being on the city council, especially being mayor, it's changed how I travel around the state, even just on weekends, going grocery shopping or something like that. I look at the cities that I visit in different ways. This, and sometimes they didn't have a choice. And like a Riverdale, the traffic down there is just nuts
Latent.
with the ons and offs, but I don't know they could have done anything about that just because of the amount of space they had to work with.
Right.
But trying to get as much bang for their buck tax-wise for their community.
I don't know where people live in Riverdale.
There's only
I feel like
11,000 people.
I think they're making a killing on
They
their
are. They're city attorney. Yeah.
They got all of their kids are enrolled in private tennis lessons or something.
No, they're actually not, but they're
They
doing,
could if they wanted.
their city attorney and is also their city administrator is a really longtime friend of mine before he got that job. So I get to hear some of that, but I go down there and I'm not looking at, what I'm looking at is how come there's not more space in between driveways? We got a good example down here in 1100 South of Medical Way, turning into the old Flying J and the Chevron. You're only like 100 feet from that intersection. And there's constantly almost accidents down there. So I'm trying to learn from the decisions that have been made in the past, not only in Brigham, but I'm looking at those other communities on those types of things. How safe is it on those roads? And also what works. You go up to Logan and on, I think it's on the west side there where Costco is. The way they've laid out their road is different than what they did in the old town. And so I look at those things. You come out of Costco and it's a busy street, mid-block. And what they've done is they've put, I noticed that they've put a right turn in and a left turn out, but it's not just a sign. They've actually put the concrete there that directs it. I don't know that we'll ever I'm trying to stay away from that, but if we ever had to, because of whatever we run into that we can't avoid, at least I have that as an example. So I look at elements of cities, what I don't like and sometimes it's what I don't like. Sometimes it just doesn't work very well, but that's what they had to deal with. And then other times I see stuff that, man, this is an innovative idea. This is really kind of cool. So.
And you, again, like I know you talked to Tammy. Is there mayors and city council people from around that they bounce ideas off of, or
I don't know if Tammy does,
capacity, or
no, that's a good question. I have, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one, but I know that the 4 years that I've been mayor, I have a standing monthly lunch with the mayor of Tremonton.
Okay.
That we go to lunch and talk about things, or he just gets to vent, or sometimes I get to vent about something that's frustrating us in city government, or personally, frankly.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Mayor Moat and Mayor Jepson, Willard and Perry, we've gone out a few times to breakfast. I tell you, Mayor Jepson really loves the crispy French toast at Rusted Spoon with the ice cream, even at 8 a.m. And Mayor Baton, good friends with him out in Corinne.
Okay.
I don't know the Bear River City mayor. that well. Bruce Nilsson out in Honeyville and I are really good friends. Leslie Kendrick out in Elwood and I are good friends.
So you have conversations,
yeah.
communications, and
Yeah.
in some professional capacity as far as
Well,
mayors go,
sometimes
too?
there's other boards that we sit on together. There's the COG, the County Organization of Governments. We meet quarterly, and that is used. We meet there for dispersion of corridor preservation funds from the county. That's what the county set up for us to do, and we grade the different projects as they're submitted. And
Is this what Councilman Jensen was talking about, the water?
No, that's the Bear River Water Conservancy District, which
Okay,
is its own
something-
taxing entity. It's
Yeah.
a special service district. But yeah, there's Mayor Kendrick, Mayor Holmgren, myself. I think we're the only mayors on there currently. And then Commissioner Bingham is on there. But
Okay. That actually gets to another question that I had. Looking into information here is I see that you're on the board of Utopia and you're on the board of BRAG.
Mhm.
I guess let's start with BRAG. Tell me about what that is, what your role in it is, or how it impacts maybe Brigham City and
so BRAG is the county's agency on aging, and that's state mandated.
okay.
And so that's where your senior services come from, your Meals on Wheels. And
Okay.
they also get into homeless and homeless services. That hasn't hit so hard yet in Box Elder. It has in Cache Valley, the bigger city up there in the Logan area. Your heat programs, some low income housing and housing authority comes through BRAG. And so I sit on there, and so does the Tremont mayor, and then our 3 commissioners, right, are on there as well. And that's mandated by the state. But that's where we get our Meals on Wheels and senior services. Not all of the money, because the state doesn't give them enough money to take care of all of it. So it's subsidized by Brigham City citizens as well.
Okay. So that is a organization that is there to be compliant with state mandates.
Every
And-
county has an aging services.
Okay.
Some counties are big enough to do it on. They are their own, but some of the small counties they co-opt and made an association. So BRAG is Rich, Cache, and Box Elder.
Okay. Okay. And then do we, I'm okay saying this. So I don't know if subsidized is the right word, but it sounds like Brigham is paying some amount more than the others, or
No,
or all
not
cities
into BRAG.
all cities are paying
When
kind
I
of an equal
s-
amount or something.
Yeah, their funding comes from the state
Okay.
and the county. So the
Okay.
county pays money into BRAG to help with senior services
Right.
and
All
other
cities.
things that are subsidized. Heat, which is for your utility. If you can't afford, you can apply there. Not everybody does qualify, but there are several that do. When I mentioned Brigham City subsidizing, they don't. There isn't enough money in the organization to completely take care of all of Brigham City senior services. And it's not just Brigham. We have in the past, and this is something that I've been working on for the past 3 years, actually a lot of things. Brigham City subsidizes quite a bit of the south end of the county here on a lot of things. And I've been trying to equalize the cost share of that with the other communities, fire and ambulance. That's why we just we entered into a new contract with Perry. We're their fire department, but we do respond out to the county as well. But they don't pay for that service currently, and so we're working with the commissioners to equalize that proportionate to the amount of time and calls that go out there. Animal services, that's been another thing. Brigham City has the animal shelter, but everybody brings it here, but nobody is helping pay for
We're
that. Just
feeding off
Brigham
of it.
City.
Okay.
Senior services is the same thing. We have the senior services contract for BRAG for the south part of the county. So we provide congregate meals and Meals on Wheels. And the shortfall has been forever just falling on the Brigham City citizens out of the general fund. And so we are talking with BRAG, and over the last 3 years been approaching BRAG and the county commissioners to equalize that with the other communities that have people that use those services, so that they will pay into it as well.
Right. Something more fair,
Mhm.
relatively speaking. Okay.
Yeah, we just cost share, and we've got it broke down really well.
We don't need to take advantage of them, but we don't want to be taken advantage of either.
Well, no, I don't think there's any. That's well said. It's a cost share. I guess the thing that the philosophy that people don't people have a hard time understanding is there's the service, but the citizens of Brigham City have stood up the facility and the asset. And that's where the disconnect is it's kind of hard for these other communities is they just want to pay for the day-to-day service and they're not helping chip in on the asset. So for instance, now Perry's doing this, but this is an example. You got a city that we're going into with fire. Brigham City citizens buy a $1.2 million fire truck, and the community that we're serving, not Perry, by the way, so don't, not Perry, but Perry's our fire. Let's say Perry wasn't helping.
Yeah. Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically.
Okay.
All they want to do is pay per call.
Oh, you're like, well, you're going to pay a lot more.
Brigham City's not just paying per call.
Yeah.
We're paying
for the gas.
We're paying for the insurance of having a fire department that will respond when 911 is called, and that's what we're trying to equalize.
Everything to maintain the facility so that the truck can go out there to you when you need it.
The building, the trucks, plus the calls. Yep.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, okay, fair enough.
So that's what we've been working on for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Really hard is just, and I know the evolution of it. Brigham City was the biggest city in the county for a long, long time. And so it was easy for the tax base here, sales and property, to subsidize 1,000 people with a fire department or something like that.
Right.
When those communities blow up from 1,000 or 1,500 to 5,000, 6,000 people, and there's no change there, no cost sharing, then it becomes and the city that is let's call it the host city of that asset hasn't grown but 5,000 people in 40 years.
You're talking about a host, like somebody coming living and not a parasite, right?
So that's what you've seen the last couple of years from Brigham City. It's been in the newspapers and is us just trying to get people to the negotiation table and realizing that cost sharing, because that cost sharing is a lot less expensive than if those cities need to bond for $20 million to build their own fire station. Right. And that's just the building. Now they've got another $5-6 million for ambulances and fire trucks and staffing. And
they learn about all of the maintaining of their assets.
They learn about that. It's a lot easier to just cost share for $350,000 a year or $150 or $200, whatever the breakdown is, than trying to stand up their own thing. And it goes for rec. Everybody comes to Brigham City mainly for rec, and some of that has to do with the high school and the tax base and the businesses. But they come here and use our parks, which is fine. But we're looking to equalize that animal services, senior services.
If you bring in a cat and you're from Bear River, we might put it down.
Well, don't say that. If you want organizations to get on and start calling you a death threat, we're a non-kill shelter. So
I'm just saying, if you want to pay a little bit more for your animal services.
But that's so we've been working with the county and our neighboring cities on trying to equalize that.
Okay.
And it takes some time because in their eyes, everything's working.
Yeah.
Brigham City's paying.
It always is when you're the youngest child and your brother takes you out to lunch and your sister buys you.
And these are great people that are running these cities. Their taxes have had to go up because they don't have the tax base. They may have chosen to be more residential, more bedroomy. Mm-hmm. And so they haven't had to build parks because Brigham City's here. They didn't have to worry about businesses because everyone comes to Brigham or down to Ogden to work, and then they come home. And so they have to maintain their cities on property taxes for their roads and their infrastructure. And so their taxes are usually pretty high already. And now here comes Brigham City saying, hey, we would really like to cost share this more because you've grown exponentially when compared to Brigham City's growth over the last 40 years. And we just can't do it anymore. It's not penciling for Brigham City anymore.
Right. Yeah. That's fair. Tell me about Utopia Fiber. So you're on the board there.
Well, Brigham City is Utopia.
So tell me about that. What is it? What is that?
Yeah, so back in,
what does that mean?
When Mayor Christensen was the mayor, and this is a very watered down version, but I was the president of the chamber, so this would have been 2007, 2008. We knew that fiber was coming into existence back then, right? It was the way of the future. It was more data. It was faster speeds. And so back then, your choices were it's Comcast now, and it's CenturyLink now, and they just changed whatever their base companies were back then. I don't remember what they were called. when it was asked of the cities up here to bring that service, it didn't pencil for them. They said, we'll probably never bring fiber to Brigham City, ever. And so in her wisdom, Mayor Christensen and several other cities, I think there's 10, I can't name them, but there was 10 founding cities that got that same answer. And they all went together and created Utopia, which isn't a service provider. It's the fiber system. It's the infrastructure. And what that did is it provided those that joined and those that funded. Brigham City funded through property tax. And what that did was it gave us as much pull and voice on the Utopia board back when it was starting as the bigger cities, the West Valleys, the Orhams, the Bountifuls, the Murrays. And so it wasn't just those big cities dictating. We had a voice because of the way it was structured up here in Brigham and the build out and the way we paid for it. It rolled out. It was rough. It was rough. There was a $20 million government grant that they were using, and that grant was pulled back. So they had started building the structure, and the government pulled that money out. And it took several years of a lawsuit, but Utopia was proven right, and that money came back. That's why about 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years ago, you saw Utopia starting to thrive because they got that money back that they were granted and had the right to, and they were able to build out their system and make the improvements that they should have started with. And now it's going gangbusters.
So Utopia it's not a company.
It's its own governmental entity, basically.
Okay, and it helps. It's what facilitated Brigham City bringing in fiber internet, and that's gone to other counties. So what?
Brigham City, Tremont, Perry were the three up here.
What continued need is there as far as like?
Well, there's still a build.
How does that? Yeah.
There's still a build out. In fact, we just saw in Brigham City, I think it was Comcast. Both Comcast and CenturyLink are finally bringing fiber and upgrading their fiber network up here. They're doing that on the government grant. That's the only way it would pencil for them. But now we're seeing in Utopia, and Brigham City is part of the founding Utopia. So we actually get returns. The cities now that are signing on, they're just signing on for the service. They don't get, for lack of a better word, stock options and stock payback like Brigham City will be getting and has been getting. It's been growing. It's not quite to the point where it covers the bond payment yet, but it's getting really close.
So that is one of our assets, essentially. It sounds like we were part of the founding of this.
Yeah.
And therefore we get some sort of kickbacks or more like interest from like a if you own a stock, right? Like a dividend?
Dividend.
You get
That's what I was, yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So we get a dividend for, do we have partial ownership? I mean, that implies ownership in some capacity, doesn't it? So we have, Brigham City has X amount of shares or ownership of that. And all of that, those dividends get put into the general fund, and it helps not subsidize, but
right now it's going to pay for the bond. It paid for the Utopia build out here in Brigham City.
Right. So the initial investment.
Yeah. So as soon as that's paid for, then yes, it will go into the general fund to help fund the running of our city. And so like Idaho Falls just signed on. They've built their network out of Utopia. Okay. Morgan, Butte, Montana, if you can believe it or not, they like the model and it works for them. And right now, Utopia is actually going into the outlying rural counties of California now.
So this is is it like a company? I mean, it's got to be a company. Okay. And so being on the board.
I'm only on the board because I'm the mayor of Brigham.
Because and this is something I like, again, listening to Tammy Tran's podcast, her talking about running for election, is that if we're at the table, we're not on the menu. And so you're able to advocate for Brigham City when it's necessary, and then also just keep abreast of what's going on with the
understand that with the we don't have to advocate for Brigham,
right,
per se,
okay,
because we advocate for Utopia. So as Utopia, because we are Utopia. So when Utopia does well, Brigham City is already doing well. So we don't have to really advocate for Brigham in that sense. Like
when you say that, I don't know how to jive. We are Utopia? Help me understand what you mean by that.
So it's the same as, so I don't know. Let's just say that I have stock in Pacific Bell, Pac Bell.
Okay.
I'm part of Pac Bell.
Okay.
I help make this. Pac Bell's doing well. I don't have to advocate for
you're part
DJ.
owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what that means.
Okay. So Brigham City has ownership in there, and so okay. All right. So we get him. Okay. Interesting. So I don't. Do with this what you want. It was a thought that crossed my mind, and I know the people on Facebook are probably thinking as well. Is there compensation that comes along with being on the board of?
It does
of
not
Utopia.
Bear Road Water Conservancy District. It's $75 a month to be on that board.
Okay.
And that's paid. That's the only one.
Okay. So
because it's its own governmental special service
Right.
district, and they have to pay their board members.
So I think so. Thoughts that have come into my mind, and I've seen on Facebook, and I want to give you the opportunity. It seems that your income is you own a business,
Mhm.
the Headstones,
Mhm.
and then you get a stipend from the city,
Mhm.
and then it sounds like a little bit of a stipend for BRAG.
$75 whenever we meet in a board meeting.
Right. There's no kickbacks here because you let an apartment go up, and now
No,
if
that's
you-
illegal.
Yeah, I know. Right. Fair enough. Okay, so there's none of that that kind of thing happening because I know
Not
that
with me.
that's
Not
where
with any of our city council.
right. Okay, that's what I think.
Or city
people wanna hear.
employees.
Right.
Nope, that's all illegal.
Okay, that's good, and that's something I don't think people realize that it's either you're breaking the law.
Yeah, no. And I'm
but-
really conservative when it comes to that kind of stuff. Open and Meetings Act.
Yeah.
I'll stay away from any gray.
Okay.
They're like like you can get together and have dinner with the city council.
Mhm.
That's not against. But we don't do that very often because I want to avoid the very appearance of breaking that.
Right. That looks like
Yeah,
you're paying for
Yeah.
a steak dinner,
Yep.
and therefore
We stay
they will
away.
look at your proposal or whatever. Okay.
I stay away from that stuff so
Okay.
that isn't even a question.
So when people let their minds wander or make accusations, they're making accusations that
They may
you would be
see it.
breaking out of the law or
Well,
something like that.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other communities.
Right.
I don't think it happens in communities around us
Mhm.
as far as our county, but I can't say
Right.
obviously we see it nationally
Mhm.
In one form or another.
Mhm.
But
Right. And not knowing a lot about local politics, myself included, I think people just don't know.
Mhm.
And there's like, ooh, is he getting kickbacks? Be like, no, that's illegal, actually. You
Yeah.
don't know. And there's no reason you would know that unless
one-
you were in
the one
politics or something
area
like
that I could see in any town that you could do is if you obviously are privy to the zoning.
Mhm.
And you see that something in future planning, you see that a business is going to come in, and all of a sudden you're out there buying land around the business because you see that it's obviously going to go up in value because of somebody coming in. That's not happening here, but I could see where somebody may take advantage of that independently.
If you already have the assets
If
of the
you-
money to buy
yeah,
land.
to buy it, yeah.
Take a loan
or
and stuff and
speculate.
maybe-
You go get a loan.
Yeah, that's
So-
fair. Okay.
So, but yeah, that doesn't happen here. I stay far away from that as
Because that looks
I
bad.
can. It looks bad. So
Okay. I appreciate that. And I've been trying to bring that up. I don't know how to
Yeah.
get there, but I think it's important because I think rumors fly. And I think, as we've seen on Facebook and in the internet, we don't know a lot. There's a lot of us who are just like,
yeah,
I don't know. I've watched the news and I know there's a lot of butt heads up there.
you're not going to
Washington
see in the
heads.
last 10 years of city council. You won't find any city councilman that has bought property next to something that's been developed.
Okay.
They'll buy a house. They'll expand their own business on the footprint that they already own.
Right.
But you haven't seen anybody buy something out in unincorporated.
Gotcha. Right. Like, hey,
Yeah,
now that we know that
Exactly.
X company is
Yep.
going to be building out there and we're
Yep.
going to need businesses, that's good to know. And that I appreciate that.
it's not to say that somebody won't in the future, but
Mhm.
currently you won't see
Right.
me do it. And I know these guys. So I'm familiar enough with everybody on city council and have been for several years. That's what happens when you live in a small community.
Mhm.
I've known Councilmember Troxel since I was a sophomore in high school. Councilmember Smith, just from business, I've known him for probably 15, 20 years. Matt's more of a new acquaintance. I didn't know him before being on city council. I had lived on that end of town where he lives, so I didn't get to know him. Councilmember Farr, I've known for years. Councilmember Peterson, when he was a council member, I knew him for like 20 years. Dave Jeffries, Councilmember Jeffries, I've known him since him and Janelle got married and he moved to Utah. We coached lacrosse together. And
How long ago was that?
I lose track of time.
20,
It might be
10, 15?
Seth. It could be 15. Like I said, I lose track.
Fair
Seems
enough.
like yesterday,
Right.
if I'm being honest.
Once you get to a certain point, you're like, I don't
Yeah.
know, that felt like
Yeah.
that could have been a
And
year
so
ago.
it makes it fun, actually. And Mr. Hip, Councilmember Hip,
Mhm.
I didn't know him until he come on to council, but have gotten to know him and Joyce and got to know we have a lot of fun together. And what I like is, and I set this out real clear that as mayor, even with my employees, I expect to be pushed back. I don't like to be around yes men. I expect to, even if you agree with me, I like to hear a different viewpoint, even if you have to make it up or play devil's advocate, so we can make sure that we're making the right decision 20 years from now, 5 years from now, even tomorrow.
Right.
So.
Like in a debate, or,
Mhm.
hey, I
Yeah.
may not believe this, but I can
Yeah.
see somebody saying this. I appreciate that. I don't know that I have any other questions. Maybe I'll interview you again in the future, but
Sure.
do you have anything else you'd like to say to the listeners to Brigham City?
No, just get involved. I've toyed with the idea of starting some type of a program called It Starts With Me. I get a lot of phone calls, or have in the past, of people complaining about their neighbor. And I always walk out the door and I'll tell my administrative assistant or Derek, my city administrator, if I would have known I could complain to the mayor about this, I would have been doing it years ago. And so I would love, and I try and lead by example. I will say that there isn't a rule or an ordinance that I've made that I haven't lived prior to wondering if that would be a good idea. Or if I ask the citizens to do something, it's because I've already been doing it. I don't do as I say, not as I do type of a thing. So
We appreciate that.
a couple of years ago, somebody, I think Alden Farr, was noticing that the sidewalks on Main Street, the grass is growing over them. They haven't been edged in years. And of course, the citizen will say, well, that's city property. The city should do that. And I don't disagree, but we're pretty much understaffed, in my opinion, to go and do those types of things. And that next week, I took a wheelbarrow and I did from 5th South to 7th South, 6th South on my own. Both sides of the sidewalk.
Go for it.
Yep, just got an
Sunday.
edger, and I've been doing it ever since as mayor. And
From where to where again? Sorry.
5th South to 6th South on
Okay.
Main Street. My house is right there, so it's convenient. My business is right there,
Okay.
so it's convenient. This year,
Do you live near the business then?
right in front of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Only for the last 3 years. Prior to that, I was down on 600 West
Got it. Okay.
for 30 years.
Gotcha. I know where your business is.
Yeah.
So.
And so this year, I'm toying with the idea of leaves. I'm not having the city pick up leaves in front of my homes or my business, my son's home or mine. So for the last couple of days, I've been blowing them on my yard even in the irrigation ditch, and just blowing it into my yard and then picking it up with my lawnmower and putting it into the dump, into the trash.
Okay.
So I think that we could do more on our own instead of looking for the city. Because like you mentioned, the more services we want as a city, the more taxes we have to use in order to pay for that.
Yeah.
And so we should do something with the trees. We should do something with the grass. We should do something with this or that, or I think we should do this. All you're really doing is saying, hey, I'd like to have more taxes in order to pay for that.
Yeah. Except nobody wants to pay taxes. They want somebody else to pay for it.
The only one I think that they wanted was 2 years ago, and that's why we raised property taxes 2 years ago, is with the opening of the Golden Spike, there weren't any sidewalks up in that area for safe routes to school. And so we increased property taxes to generate $100,000 to start working on those sidewalks up in that area. So
all right.
that was.
There's one more question I have here. As far as I know that there was a lot of, we're going to say misunderstanding about tax increases from school district compared to the city. And I was looking at I've got mine here. So much of that is the school district. Something that came up in one of the other episodes is the communication between the city and the school district and what's going on there. Do you have any insight as to maybe how we got here or solutions moving forward? And maybe there's
With
maybe
what? With
as far as the city council working with the school district. So it seems like they're what was implied by candidate Nielsen was that there was maybe a lack of communication between the city and the school district, and that had led to potential issues. Um,
Yeah, I can tell you that the school board is an independent, duly elected, constitutionally elected
okay.
organization.
So,
And so there's no requirement
Mhm.
for them to communicate with anybody as far as their future plans.
right.
The fact that I think what Christine was referring to is she had come to a meeting where I had been invited, because one of the things that, and I'm not saying nobody else has done this, but one of the things that I did, and it was easy because my wife works for the school district, so I had, and I spend a lot of time, like I'd mentioned before, coaching and participating in high school sports and high school things, even today, was I'm familiar with those folks. Not so much Steve until the last 3 years, but it was my desire to garner a good relationship with them, and just going forward, see it to investigate whether there was some supportive crossover that could be accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't, but my decision doesn't affect them, and their decision will affect the citizens everywhere because they're a county organization. But they do not have the ability to tell a city what to do, and neither does a city have the ability to tell a school district what to do.
Is there like you'd mentioned crossover or
Just out of courtesy.
I know that there's, I guess the context of the conversation was that we're going to do this, let them figure out how to handle it on their side, right? We're building apartments, how they're going to get those kids to school, that's up to the school district, not my problem.
Yep.
Right? Or they're like, cool, we're going to jack up taxes because we got to figure out how to get these kids to school, and we'll let the city figure out how to deal with however that impacts them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you're correct on both of those.
It's very what this is like. Not my problem.
That's just a plain truth.
Yeah.
We're both elected bodies
Mhm.
that don't have any stewardship to each other. Now, out of courtesy, over the last 3 years, there have been relationships, and the school district has asked both Tremonton's mayor and myself to come down for the last two years prior to the school year to just kind of give them an update on what we're seeing as far as asks or what we're seeing in the pipeline as far as growth. But unfortunately, the school district, the only thing they can be is reactive,
Mhm.
because just based on what has happened with this last summer with the tax increase, there's no way that the school district's going to hear from the city that, hey, we have a development out west, and in the next 3 to 5 years, we may see 2,500 residents out there. Well, math will tell you that there needs to be maybe 1 or 2 elementary schools,
Mhm.
but there isn't a person alive that's going to vote for a tax increase now to build a school
5 years from now.
that's going to build it now for 5 years from now.
Mm.
Even though that makes sense because building it now would be cheaper than 5 years from now, but we're not going to go for that.
Right.
And so they're always going to be reactive. And even if we didn't need any more schools because we had sufficient, at some point, though, we've addressed this, those schools are going to be, through attrition, going to need to be replaced
Mhm.
or upgraded.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and the only way that a school district has to pay for that is through the raising of property taxes. That's it.
That's it.
They can't open up commercial kitchens and open up a restaurant to sell. They
Have the kids make hats while they're at school,
they
and then
they can't do that.
Not yet.
They
I think we got a new law, you guys.
but and so they do their best, to that maybe part of that question, and just because I have spent and have a good relationship with Superintendent Carlson and the business director prior to Neil and Neil now, and frankly with a lot of the principals and Assistant Superintendent Meekum, prior to Golden Spike being built, and it wasn't for Golden Spike, but they knew that there was a development going out west on the west side of 600 West, down by the Armory. On like 700 North, down in there, there were a lot of homes that have been built down there, and so Keith Meekum, Mr. Meekum, was asked to go down there and do a study. How many homes and how many kids do you figure those homes would get? This was prior to any homes being built,
Mm.
and according to the rubric that has traditionally been used as far as homes per kids, per students that's going to equate, they figured that they would need a lot more kindergarten teachers. And when the development actually happened, it turned out that they were flat wrong because only old people moved down there that didn't have families. So they can try their best, and there's methods to do that, but it's still just a guess.
Right.
That's why they're
It's
always
like forecasting the weather.
Yeah,
They're just not
exactly.
100%.
Except for instead of having a job all the time, we vilify them because they're wrong, unlike a weatherman.
I know. I feel by that guy sometimes.
But yeah, it's a hard deal, and we know it.
Yeah.
But I think what proved out in this round is if we would have voted for the tax increase last year,
For the bond, right?
the bond, it would have been less money.
Mm.
And just in a year's time, what we're seeing, right, is that we're spending more money and getting less accomplished because of the inflation on construction.
Yeah, and this maybe is I guess I don't want to make this a conversation for your podcast. Maybe when I interview the school district, I feel like I had another question there, but it's probably not that important. So their only way of getting taxes is property tax.
Well, there's different bonds, and that's what you're seeing now. They can bond, so a portion of their money, from what I understand, and I could be totally wrong, but I know with the city, there's different bonds that we can do. There's a general obligation bond that is paid for by taxes, and so you increase the taxes to make that general bond payment for 20 years, and then it comes off.
Okay.
Brigham City has bonded last year for $26 million. We've done two bonds. We've done a utility bond and an electric utility bond. The electric utility bond is paying for the new peaker plant that's being built.
Okay.
Up an electric plant at the mouth of the canyon. And the utility bond that we did the year before, last year, is paying for the penstock replacement. That's the aqueduct that comes down out of Manaway with our drinking water and our culinary. It's paying for
Is that what there's construction on that road right now?
Up on the hill.
Oh.
You look up there and there's the silver pipe that comes down.
Okay.
Between that pipe and Manaway Reservoir, those aqueduct, they call it penstocks, aqueduct pipes or whatever, they were getting to be 60, 70 years old, never replaced, and so we're replacing them. And that was a $12.5 million project. And so we bonded for more than that because there was there was a couple substations that we knew we needed to build in anticipation of business growth on the west side of the highway. And so we bonded. That bond is being paid for by utility rates. We didn't increase utility rates to pay for it. It's the excess or the little bit of profit, what we can afford to pay for that bond to complete those projects for the next 20 years.
Gotcha.
So the school has the same type of thing. That's why they're not going to a full property tax, just a little bit, because they're bonding. They can make money. They have trust lands. I don't know. I only know the word. But the state owns land, and they get money from that land. It's called trust lands, and they've bonded against that money that the school district is getting. That's what's going to help to pay for some of that bond.
Okay.
And then the rest of it is my understanding is from the property tax increase that we're seeing.
Gotcha. All right. And then I did just think of another question. As far as all of the people who are running, were like, yeah, let's talk to us. Come talk to us. Set a meeting. Give us a call. Whatever that is. Does that apply to the whole city council?
Absolutely.
Are you happy to get all of that feedback as well?
Unfortunately, I haven't experienced anybody doing that.
Right.
Even 3 years ago, I don't know whether Matt may have mentioned it. We even went out and did town halls, and we figured, hey, let's make it easy. So we picked 3 locations that were free, and we split up 2 and 2 and 2. Yeah. And we had a grand total of 11 people.
Yeah. And that may not change. I know, again, talking to
Which is
Fran,
to the point that I mentioned before. That's one of the reasons why we made the podcast studio at the city.
Yeah.
So that we could try and engage that way, because it's easier to watch something like this at your convenience and become informed than it is to try and make it to city council.
Right.
Or try and find time to talk to your city councilor or your mayor.
Right. Absolutely. One of the things that Tammy Tran had mentioned that she does in Kaysville is they front load. So they actually have like a half an hour before their city council meeting for like a question and answer. And then they also front load the meeting to get to like the public comment kind of first up, right after maybe the prayer or whatever. And then does that seem like a feasible change in the way that we do things? I don't know how much payoff it would get
Yeah,
on what you're
well,
saying.
you've been to city
But-
council.
Right.
And we do have our public comment. It's usually right after any employee recognition.
Yeah, but that could be
the
about
prayer.
20 minutes into it if people knew that they wanted to say something, or like you said, maybe just question.
That doesn't
and
happen
answer.
all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. Would that be something that I guess you'd be willing to do? And then on the other side, do you think, based on your experience, that would really make much of a difference?
We can structure city council just about any way we want.
Okay.
As far as the agenda goes, is there any advantage to it?
Yeah.
In the 12 years, 8 years on city council, and now 4 years as mayor,
Yeah.
we get the same 3 people, unless you're raising taxes.
Yeah. Right. And I know I'm getting more involved, but I've got a very anecdotal experience,
Yeah.
just because I'm interested in it.
Well,
I mean, everybody in the city is.
yeah.
So maybe that doesn't change or something.
And
But
frankly,
yeah.
the getting involved is an interesting thing, because as you've experienced, by the time we're doing the budget, you're coming to the budget stuff and you're getting involved in comment.
Mhm.
We've already been doing the budget and cutting and cutting and cutting and budget work sessions with the city council for about 4 months.
Right.
And so in order to have, and we've been looking at all the information, right? Most people come to city council just to say, don't raise my taxes, but more than
Right.
likely,
But
there's
also
a
give me more
reason.
stuff.
There's a reason, like this year it was because the inflation and the upside downness of our fleet fund, because of the inflation we saw on fire trucks and ambulances and garbage trucks. We accounted for that because you can only budget to repay what you've purchased in the past, and you don't know what that inflated price is going to be until you go out for bid, and you don't go out for bid until you need the truck. So you can buy a fire truck 20 years ago at $350,000, when it's met its life, and you go out to bid, and now it's $1.2 million. But you've got a fleet fund where you said, okay, we'll pay that back, $350,000. We'll put 2% inflation ticker on there as well. It doesn't cover it.
Right. Forecasting again.
Yes.
And it just,
And so that's
seems-
what you're seeing on the city's increase this year was for the actual assets that we're seeing the inflation on.
Gotcha.
So we don't go bankrupt.
Okay. And then, as far as you're concerned, I feel like I was going to stop this, and I was like, I have more questions.
No,
I
you're
just
good.
remembered.
You can edit this down.
Yeah,
Or
I'll
it
probably
into
break it
2.
into 2 episodes. We got 2 episodes here, you guys. Is as far as you're concerned, looking at wants versus needs. I mean, what do you think those are? Like, we've talked a lot about needs, and it seems like much of what our city does is needs. I suspect there are some wants. How would you differentiate there? Would you put a percentage, maybe put a percentage on how much of what we spend is on wants versus needs, and then give some examples if you can? If I feel like that would be helpful, because
No, and that's
where people are like, we got to cut this down. If we got 5%, like, cool, you don't have parks anymore, but we could do that. Like, hypothetically, like,
could.
it's mental exercise.
And
I guess,
we've actually, it's interesting you mentioned the parks. We've actually had that conversation with the city council, because we have a hard time paying for the maintenance of the parks we have. So we're not going to be, unless a developer puts one in at their expense. And it's something that we know down the road that we can pay to maintain, because the playground equipment is like that stuff typically is $350,000 just for the swings, the slides, and all of that entails. And so that's that's a really good question. I would say that over the last 4 years as mayor, I wanted jellyfish lighting in downtown Main Street. And so we got a TTAB grant to pay for that. And that
I don't know what that means.
It's a tourism grant that it's money that's spent when people rent or stay in hotels and use the restaurants. There's a tax that we all pay that goes to that to increase tourism.
Okay.
And so we use that. That wasn't all of it. It's a whole county tax, and so we applied for that for the jellyfish lighting 2 years ago. Why? Because what's Brigham City known for? It's downtown. And if we don't, and I know that there's arguments not to, because they're privately owned buildings. But if we don't maintain that, at some point we're going to have to redevelop it like Ogden did down on Washington Boulevard, right across from the temple where the mall used to be.
Okay.
The city had to redevelop that because it had gone unmaintained and dilapidated, and so they had to tear everything down. And so we just need to. I'm really insistent that we invest a little bit at a time in downtown. We have the facade grant that the city does that allows the businesses to fix the front of their buildings. And you see that down there and how well that's gone over. The little things, jellyfish lighting. We were spending about 30 to $40,000 a year fixing the neon on the Brigham City sign to have that lit
I
up.
was driving here today. It looks great.
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing it in the past. It kind of
And
looks
so we spent
not so much, but it looks great now.
We spent $80,000 to upgrade it to the neon rope LED. So those are LEDs.
Okay.
And it mimics neon. But what we don't have is we don't have IHAM anymore because some of the lights have gone out.
That's right.
Or Brig, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's
so
that's an investment in downtown that'll allow, and it come with a service contract.
But it looks good. People try to be like, oh,
so that's
a
want though.
Right.
We could have let the lights go out.
Right.
We don't have to put the jellyfish light.
We don't need that sign. Take the sign down, and now all of a sudden you don't have to pay.
We don't need the facade grant. Something that I noticed in the comments there is, why is the city loaning money to downtown businesses? Well, they redid their asphalt in the back. There was potholes that would swallow cars. So it was a safety issue. There were a couple businesses that, because they just invested in their buildings, they didn't have it to pay for that parking lot now, their portion of it. But the project was bid at such a great price, and we didn't lead the bidding on that. That was a downtown business that did that. The city council, because we wanted to invest in Main Street, decided that we would loan those businesses money that needed it. Not every, I think it was only like 2 or 3 businesses. And it's not a 20-year loan. It's an 18-month loan because it allows that business 2 of their budget cycles to
pay it back.
Either pay it back, or go get their own loan, or have the resources to pay it back.
Gotcha.
But now you can drive back there and it's safe.
Right. You're not gonna
as far as driving,
get damage on your car.
Yeah, you're not going to damage your car. And so it's lit. Those would be wants. Did we have to do it? No. Right. Those parking lots are privately owned. Right. The buildings are privately owned. They don't need jellyfish lighting. The sign could go dark at night. Right. Absolutely. So I'd say the wants that you're seeing, the DJ Bott administration paid for, are just little things like that.
What about the pool? Is that self-sufficient mostly?
No, heavens no.
That's subsidized. So that would be a want then as well.
Well, right? It's a community want, yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We could say we want it. So.
It's subsidized. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But it does. I mean, it's not.
I enjoy going there.
Yeah.
I'm not bagging on.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, and that's kind of the philosophical discussion that you have as council and staff, right? Is we can eliminate quite a few things. The pool, the parks. Is that the community we want?
Right.
The splash pad.
And those are places that people actually do see each other and
is it worth subsidizing that so that's in the community?
Right.
So far, the citizens have said absolutely.
Right.
We want parks.
We're okay with that.
We want the city pool down there. We want the splash. Splash pad's a great idea. So yeah, that's why it's difficult when you get no, I'm not going to go there. When you're a parent, you have one kid say, I want this, and you have another kid say, I want that. And as a dad, you have to determine what's best for the family. And a lot of times that's the way I feel about Brigham City. There are some requests that I'm on. That just that's not going to make any sense. Right. I've had a lot of people ask about the city funding an ice rink.
Nope.
I don't think there's a lot of interest and when I say a lot, I've had like 4, 5, 6 people come and say, hey, we need to put this up. It would really work here. And I think, well, if it would really work here, then somebody private would probably put it up.
You saying ice rink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's stuff like that. There may come a time when the city, the citizens say, you know what, we're willing to do it. We're willing to go pay $20 million bond. Let's put up an ice rink.
My son wants to play for the Mammoth one day.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make that happen.
Yeah. You know what? One thing that's facing us, and it's because of the amount of offerings at the high school, is we're out of gym space. So we're
secondary gym almost, huh?
Well, we're going to have to at some point as a city build a gymnasium. Otherwise, or the alternative is, and I'm okay with it, but I don't know the citizens are, no more junior jazz. rec league basketball, or any other indoor rec league stuff.
Let's say great resources.
Yeah.
Or they're going to cost a lot more, and in which case you're going to really.
And do you bond? You
there.
could bond, or is there a way for a city to save some money? And that's the thought process is that I'm looking for, is can we save a little bit over some time? The gym, that's a different thing. We're looking really hard there on how we can fund that without bonding and going out to that, because that's this year, that's next year. We won't have those programs. Because
they're pressing or urgent.
Yes, they're urgent. And so then you look at, okay, what can we put off somewhere else in order to fund this?
Gotcha.
But I mean, then you're looking at, okay, do we not do the penstock? Do we stop the bridge? Do we?
Right. Which is like when your kids are saying, hey, I really want to go to Disneyland. You're like, hey, that's great. But like,
yeah,
we also have these, I still got to fix the dishwasher.
Right.
And the car needs an oil change and stuff. So it's like, let's maybe calibrate a little here.
Yeah, but that's that. If you complete that analogy, then it's all. Then you and mom, you have. Well, do we take a small loan out that we can pay back in a little while? Do we bond for a gym for a little while because it's an immediate need, but we don't have it, but the community wants it, the community needs it for those things, and that's the discussions that staff and I have, and then we take it to council if we feel like and see if they agree as representatives of the citizens to go forward to do stuff like that.
And so asking for, again, maybe it's pipe dream for me, naivete, looking for feedback from let's say you get some legitimate feedback from the community. I don't know what that looks like. Certainly not on Facebook.
I think on big projects, I know where you're going here. I think on big projects, I'm not sure how to answer that. I will tell you that feedback from citizens, Councilmember Jensen, I want to say 2 months ago, had a call from a lady on the south end of town next to a chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. On Sundays, those cars were parked literally around the corner, bumper to bumper. And it was a safety issue. And so she called and she says, is there any way we can paint those curbs red? Monday, Matt called Public Works. By, I think, 5 o'clock that afternoon, they were painted.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, it's immediate. I'd say yes, feedback. But if you think that you're going to call Matt or Ryan and say, listen, I think we need an ice rink, or I don't think that we should work on the bridge, or I don't think we should raise the taxes in order to pay for the inflation of the fire trucks or the garbage trucks.
Yeah.
I just don't know that realistically that's.
I would be an irresponsible parent. An irresponsible parent if I was like, okay, we won't pay the mortgage because we're going to Disneyland, right? I mean, that's right, or medical bills, or the insurance.
But perhaps I could take out a loan for $500, not a quick cash loan, but maybe something that's low interest, and I can pay it, credit card or something like that. That's the decision there for a parent, right? Can I pay $100 a month to pay that credit card off so that we can go to Disneyland?
Right, and that's the real okay. And so, looking at where I was going, I don't know if we covered this entirely. Is if it's a decision. Lower taxes, service that I'd like. Is that conversation happen mostly, or do you feel like you've got a pretty good pulse?
No, those conversations happen for sure with the council, because that's what they're there to do, is to have that conversation.
And so that's what the council's for, is we're, in as much as the constituents are bringing their questions, concerns, thoughts, preferences to the city council, then that's what they're for.
To make that decision whether...
If we're dropping the ball on having that conversation with our representatives, that's on us, not so much them.
That, and I think that's probably 50% of the conversation, maybe less. I think the other part is that trust I talked about at the beginning of the thing. You knowing that city council, at least council member, at least well enough, the way they manage their business, their home, their marriage, their family. I trust that he's going to make the right decision because he lives close enough to the way I do, or he's a smart guy and I trust his decision because I've seen the decisions he's made in the past. So I don't need to call him to tell him, hey, don't pay for those fire trucks because that's irresponsible.
Not
I know
micromanaging the guy, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean don't call him. Have the conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't make the assumption. That's fair. Cool. Well, I appreciate you joining me here today.
No, it was a lot of fun.
Every one of these, I feel like I'm learning a lot and getting to know our city. I think it's been good. So appreciate you being on this with me.
No problem.
My little 17-member audience and growing, I guess. I don't know. But thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching the podcast and listening. We'll probably break this up into a couple of episodes. get informed. Go vote tomorrow. I don't know if this is going to be up by then, but go
It
vote.
won't. Editing takes a long time.
Yeah, AI helps, but yeah, you're right. Stay informed so that next go round you don't have to catch up so much, and turn to the Lord in all things. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again.
Yep.
Mayor.